Hello everyone, so I'm going to get started right away. I have quite a book haul here for you. I went to a couple thrift stores over the past couple weeks, one of them being Value Village, and I went ordered some books off Amazon and also Bookoutlet, which has a Canadian website and a US website. So I will get started with the books I got from Amazon. And Heidi! Yes, I got my namesake here. I read this years and years and years ago. Of course I'm going to read a book about Heidi. But it's been a while, so I thought, you know what, I just spotted it on there and I thought, you know what, I'm going to read it again. And then I did get this book by Robert McCammon, Speaks the Nightbird, and it's the complete two-part novel in one volume. So I was on the Bookoutlet and I noticed a book called Queen of Bedlam by the same author, and it was the second in a series of books featuring this Matthew Corbett, and it took place in the 1700s, and it sounded really good, so I did order it, and luckily I did because the next day it was sold out. So I went on to Amazon and picked up this is the first book in the series featuring this Matthew Corbett. And I guess this fellow did some books previously. I think his most popular were Swan Song and A Boy's Life. So yeah, he's gotten like really rave reviews. So this takes place in the Carolinas in 1699, and there's a city that believes a witch has cursed their town. There's inexplicable tragedies and things happening, so they end up arresting this widow for witchcraft, and then a traveling magistrate comes with his clerk, who is Matthew Corbett, and there's going to be a trial to see if she's innocent or guilty. Most of the time they were found guilty, but this Matthew Corbett believes that she is innocent and is trying to prove her innocence. So yeah, it's a chunker. It's about 800 pages, and so yeah, like I said, I did order the second book in this series because it's just gotten such good reviews. And I read the first page and I thought, oh man, this is going to be good. I just love the writing style. So I'll just do the first couple of brief paragraphs. So came the time when the two travelers knew night would catch them and shelter must be found. It had been a joyful day for frogs and mud hens. For the human breed, however, the low-grade clouds and chill rain coiled chains around the soul. By the calendar, the month of May should by all rights and predictions be charitable if not merry, but this May had entered like a grim-lipped miser pinching out candles in church. So yeah, I just read the first page and I thought, oh, I'm going to like this one. So yeah, that's Robert McCammon. So yeah, looking forward to that one. I also did get The Normal People by Sally Rooney, so I've seen this on BookTube quite a bit, and I saw it for a good price on Amazon, so I thought I'd pick it up. And it's about two teenagers. The one teenager is, he's quite popular. I think he belongs like on the, he's a star on the football team, and then there's this other teenager. She's lonely and intensely private, but they just end up having this connection, and but they do keep their kind of relationship concealed. So I guess it just follows them over the years and how their relationship kind of fades and then comes back and that sort of thing. But I heard really good things about that one. And I did get another Barbara Erskine novel, Daughters of Fire. So this is one of those historical fictions that takes place on two parallel timelines. This one goes back to when the Romans are invading Britannia, so this goes way back. And then present day historian is immersing herself in the legends featuring this Celtic queen. And then it goes back and forth to this Celtic queen and then the present day in that. So those kind of novels I love, and it's like ancient Britain. I just eat that stuff up. And I did get another Agatha Christie novel. Now, I've never seen the movie. I have not read the book. I did read Death on the Nile. So this is Murder on the Orient Express. I know there was a film, another adaptation on film, just a couple years ago, and I said, I'm not going to watch that. I want to read the book first. So I did get that one. And then I did get some of these, quite a few of these books I got at this used bookstore. I don't go to it too often. It's a little bit out of the way, but I had to go to the dentist, which is nearby. So these are mostly like medieval books, which I don't know. There's something about medieval times that I'm just like totally attracted to. They're just a fascinating time for me for whatever reason. So I found this series in this bookstore, and luckily I was able to get the first 3 books, which is unusual. If you go into a thrift store, used bookstore, I mean, you might find the first copy or the first book of the series, or you might find the 4th one, or but you never find them kind of lumped together. But I did get the first 3 books. And I believe this takes place in the 11th or 12th century. King Henry the Second is in power. And this one's called Mistress of the Art of Death by Ariana Franklin. And now, back in the day, there was people who investigated murders and that sort of thing, and they were called masters of the art of death. So King Henry, he wants, these 4 children were murdered, and he wants it investigated. And they bring in this woman who was actually trained in Italy, where they're a little more progressive about training women and that. So she comes and she investigates for the king, and she has to kind of keep things secret a little bit because she doesn't want to be accused of witchcraft. But anyway, yeah, it's just, it's kind of, well, I think it was the 13th century that they started calling these investigators coroners. So yeah, I just, you know, back in the day, they didn't have the best investigating skills. They didn't have DNA testing or anything like that. But yeah, anyway, it's just sounded so good. And of course, the main character is this very strong, intelligent woman, and that's what I like. So, and then I got the next 2 in the series, The Serpent's Tail and Grave Goods. So yeah, it was nice to be able to find the series kind of all together. And then another medieval book that I found in the same store was by S.D. Sykes, and this is Plague Land. And of course, this takes place in the 13th century during the plague. I've read so many books about that. I don't know why I'm so fascinated with that time period. But this is a young man. He's 17. He was put into a monastery at 7 years old. His family's quite well off, but usually back then, like the first son would inherit the land and that, and the second son might get some more land and a title, but by the 3rd son, it's like, you're going to the monastery. Nothing else to do with you. So anyway, the plague ends up killing his father and his 2 older brothers. So he's now the master of the estate, and he knows nothing about running an estate. There's a murder happens. They're in the middle of this plague. So yeah, I love that kind of stuff. So I actually am going to look into getting some more of these books. This is the first book, so I'm going to try to see if I can round up some others of those. And then this is called The Alchemist's Daughter by Mary Lawrence. And yeah, anything like the apothecaries, the alchemists back then too, is always kind of fascinating. So it's set during the twilight years of King Henry VIII. And so she's like an apothecary. She has a knowledge of herbs and medicinal plants to concoct remedies for the disease-riddled poor in London's squalid Southwark slum. So yeah, I think there's a death, and then she is blamed for the death, and she has to kind of prove her innocence. And then this is called A Dark Anatomy by Robin Blake, and takes place in the 1740s England. And the year is 1740. George II is on the throne, and a squire's wife is found murdered, and a coroner, Titus Craig, has to come in and investigate. So yeah, there's just, I don't know, maybe I had a previous life in that time period or something. I don't know, I just, quite fascinating. Now this one is, I think it's a kind of a young adult, maybe teenager, preteen kind of books, but I got 4 of them from the Bookoutlet. And I have previously read books when my kids were younger. I would buy them books for like 10 to 14-year-olds and that, and I would end up reading and loving them. So I did get this series for a really good price. These are the first 4 books. And it is about an apothecary, and he has a 14-year-old apprentice, and then he ends up dying, and this young 14-year-old has to kind of take over. Yeah, it's by Kevin Sands. And yeah, I mean, I've read some of these books for younger people, and I tell you, some of them were really, really good. And yeah, I like the apothecary, alchemist kind of thing, what kind of treatments they use. Being a nurse, I think I was just fascinated by the treatments they used back then in medieval time, and the medicine and that they use. But it sounds like a really good series, and it's got really, really good reviews. And then, oh my gosh, I got so many here. I hope you're still with me. So on the Bookoutlet, I did get It Will Just Be Us. Oh, hi, Abby. And it's a gripping Gothic story by Joe Kaplan. And Sam Wakefield's ancestral home is a decaying mansion built on the edge of a swamp. And her pregnant sister comes in to live with her, and some really spooky, strange things start happening. Be Frank with Me. This sounds really good. Julia Claiborne Johnson. So this woman wrote this bestseller back when she was like 19 years old, and she hasn't written anything since. And all her money's disappearing. She has this, I think, a 9-year-old son. So this assistant is sent into her home to encourage her to start writing again, and she kind of makes friends with this 9-year-old boy who's very eccentric, yeah, I've heard it's a really good book. And then this is A Good Girl's Guide to Murder by Holly Jackson. So I think this is a young adult book too, I think. I've heard some very good reviews on it, and yeah, it's kind of a murder mystery, high school kind of murder mystery, but I've heard really good things about it. And, oh, I did get Charlotte Bronte. This is a beautiful edition by Jane Eyre. Yeah, so I haven't read this particular book. I did watch the movie. I think it was a 1940s version or something of it, but I did want to read the book, so. And then, oh yes, A Song of Achilles. Look at that cover. Isn't that gorgeous? Just love it. So yeah, this one has gotten such good reviews. Even if you don't like Greek mythology, it's written for, it's more accessible to everyone, even if you don't normally read Greek mythology. But yeah, I read the first page and I thought, yeah, this is, it's not going to be a difficult read or anything like that. I heard that it's very sad. I know I'm going to sob at the end. It's about Achilles and his friend that he's basically growing up with since childhood, and their relationship. And yeah, I'm just so happy. So happy to find it. Definitely one I wouldn't be returning. I'd definitely keep this one just for the cover. Alrighty, what else did I get here? Now this is the 20th anniversary edition of this novel called Speak by Laurie Hulse Anderson. And look at the cover, it's just absolutely stunning. And yeah, there's a trigger warning. There is rape here, teenage girl. She's not very popular, and she ends up being raped at a party, and then she finds some solace in her art and that sort of thing. So, and this is One Step Behind by Lauren North. And this woman is a doctor, and she has a stalker who is terrorizing her. And one day her stalker is brought to the emergency room after a terrible accident, and she has to actually look after him. And I think she finds some startling images on his phone, and she becomes consumed by her need for answers. Oh, I'm just going to cool things off. Okay, this is A Noise Downstairs by Linwood Barkley. I have read some of his books. So this gentleman's out for a drive. He sees his colleague, someone he works with, one evening. He's driving suspiciously down this deserted road, so he kind of follows him, and he catches him disposing of 2 bodies. So 8 months later, he's suffering from PTSD, and I believe he's a writer also. But at night, he can hear the typewriter downstairs click-clacking away. His wife and son don't hear it, only he hears it. And then, yeah, so he has to figure out what's going on. So that sounds rather creepy. And then just a couple of others. At a thrift store, I found The Woman in the Walls by Amy Lukovics. And I got it mostly for the cover. That is one creepy cover. So anyway, this woman, her mother has died when she was just 3, so she grew up in a Victorian mansion in the middle of the woods with her cold and distant father, and she explores the hallways with her cousin. And then her cousin starts hearing these voices in the attic and that, and her cousin's acting very strangely, and then she starts hearing things in the attic, and things just start to unravel after that. And then this is by Leanne Moriarty, The Husband's Secret. So this woman, imagine your husband wrote you a letter to be opened after his death, and you find out some secrets that basically destroyed your life that you have built together. But this woman actually finds the note before her husband dies. So yeah, that one sounded kind of interesting. And this is The Roots of Betrayal by James Forrester. And this takes place in 1364. So this Catholic herald has a highly dangerous document. Death and destruction has followed in its wake. But things get much worse when the document is stolen, and he plunges into a nightmare of suspicion, deception, and conspiracy. So yeah. There's definitely a theme here with medieval times, isn't there? So anyway, that's it. I'm going to tuck these away. It's kind of a gloomy, rainy day today, so a perfect day just to hunker down with a book. So I hope you enjoyed. If you read some of these novels, let me know. So everyone take care, be kind to each other, and we'll see you soon. Bye-bye.